Hi everyone, I'm Marissa,
And I'm Janell, and we're from the Hakume Branch Library.
and this is Anime Jam. Basically, our program for today is to kind of share our love of anime and manga and support literacy in our collection. So today we have kind of like a starter episode for you. Many of you might not have seen anime or read manga, and so we're going to just introduce a couple of recommendations that we have with anime and manga, and then later on in the episode we'll go about how you can place these items on hold in our collection, and just what a great collection we have that's accessible to you with your library card. Knowledge is power. Alright, so basically we'll get right into it. What is anime and what is manga? So basically anime is hand-drawn or computer animation originating from Japan, and it can describe all animated works regardless of style. So you'll notice in a lot of different animes that there are like vastly different styles. Some are similar in a sense, and then some are of like a particular time. So that's always cool to see, but that's basically what anime is. And then manga are just comics and graphic novels that are also originating from Japan. So we're going to get kind of into it today. The first starter anime that we want to recommend is Full Metal Alchemist. Yes. I love this anime mainly for nostalgia, because the first anime I actually have seen or watched. There are two separate series. They are kind of the same. So what I mean by that is that we have Full Metal Alchemist, and that one aired in 2003. The series creator is Hiromu Arakawa, and Hiromu, when I found out, Hiromu is a female mangaka. So I didn't know that at first. But yeah. And so her alias is Hiromu, but her first name is actually Hiromi. So she changed the I to a U for this particular series.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Okay, yeah. I didn't know that. Okay.
It was really cool when I found out, because I had always assumed that whoever created it was a guy, was a male manga artist, but that wasn't the case. So
Yeah.
it was very cool to find out that it was a woman who created this manga and
A popular shonen.
yeah,
Anime.
exactly. Yeah, it was awesome. Basically, Full Metal Alchemist. You've got two brothers, Edward and Alphonse Elric, attempt a forbidden alchemy ritual that goes wrong. Edward loses an arm and a leg. Alphonse loses his body, and his soul is now bound to a suit of armor. With automail limbs, Edward becomes a state alchemist to work with the military in research of restoring their bodies. So, this anime is a little heavy.
Yes.
This show in general is a little bit heavy, but again, it's like one of my favorites because it's nostalgic, and I just love watching these two brothers kind of go on an adventure, and basically like they go through all of this hardship, and at the very end they find out that really what they just need is themselves, like, together.
It's wholesome.
It's very wholesome. I will say, since there are two kind of series, there's Full Metal Alchemist, and then you have Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. So the first original run of Full Metal aired between 2002 and 2004, and then Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is the newer one. That's from 2009 to 2012. So it's a little bit newer in animation. And with most manga and animes, the manga comes out first, right? So with like Marvel and comics in general, you've got the thing that comes out first, so in this case manga, and then you get an adaptation, an animated adaptation of it, which is anime. And so when the first series came out, I've only ever seen the first series. And I'm gonna get a lot of slack for it, but I've only ever seen the first series. The Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is supposed to be amazing.
It is.
Yes. And I've seen like 1 to 6, episode 1 to 6, and I always stop around 6. I say that because I have read the manga, so I know it happens, and I just can't force myself to watch it again. But with that being said, again, the first series I've only seen it, and then the second series, Brotherhood, that one is a little bit newer, and it follows the manga. So with the first series, the manga was still like in action. It was still being printed and it was still being written almost. And so the manga or the anime in that series had to kind of make up its own story or its own ending. And that happens a lot in the animation industry because like you have your manga or your comic book and it's not done yet, but then you come out with an adaptation and you need to kind of fill in the time, which is why there's filler episodes.
Yeah.
It's just kind of biding its time and waiting for the manga to come out so they can adapt that as well. So I got a different ending in the first series than what's originally created. I do need to watch it.
Me too. Yeah.
Yes. So
So
that's fine.
I watched both the series and Brotherhood. I mean, the first original series and then Brotherhood. So what I really liked about Fullmetal Alchemist is it follows the two brothers, and at the time I was around the same age as them, and it made it relatable too. Um, Additional to that, Edward is short. Like I've always been short like my whole life.
Yeah. Yes.
And it was all the short jokes in that anime. It's like it's really relatable, and I'm like, oh, it's cute.
I'm also a short and height, and I love being short. I've accepted it, and so when I was watching that anime, I felt so much like bond with them, and I love just the banter between the two brothers and just how much siblingness is there, like if that's a word, but it's an amazing show, and I highly recommend. The genre is kind of adventure, dark fantasy, and steampunk, and just the premise is a little heavy, so.
Yeah, it's like everything is kind of metal and
Yes.
yeah.
It's good.
Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, and that's another thing we wanted to mention.
Sure. Okay, so here is fan art that I got from AnimeCon. So these are the Elric brothers. In front is Edward, and behind them is Alphonse. So Edward is the older brother, and he's actually the Full Metal Alchemist. Despite like his brother actually being in a suit of armor.
Yeah.
And they kind of make that joke in the show too, which is kind of cute. Whenever like, so in the show, or this is probably in the manga too. Whenever they're walking around, people know them, and they're like, "Oh, you're the Full Metal Alchemist," but they say it's Alphonse. It's Edward.
Because you would think a guy in like full armor is the Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah.
It's wrong.
So Edward has automail. I think it's his right arm, and his left leg is automail. So yeah, he has like two limbs that are metal. Yeah. So those are the
It's
feathers.
a great show. We both highly recommend it. It's a good one. Our next kind of anime to recommend is very popular now. It's My Hero Academia.
Or Boku no Hero.
Yeah, Boku no Hero. It's the Japanese translation. And then in a lot of these animes and mangas we talk about, they're going to be an English title, but there usually always is a Japanese title with it. So that was his Japanese title. The series creator is Kohei Hirokoshi, and the manga came out in 2014, and the anime came out a little later in 2016. But it's a great show. Basically, you have your main protagonist, which is Isaku Midoriya, and he's right here. Basically, he is one of the 20% of the world's population born without a quirk. He still wants to become a hero, just like his idol, All Might. This is a story about how a quirkless boy becomes one of the strongest heroes. And so basically in the show, everybody is born with some kind of superpower or quirk. And Isaku, unfortunately, is born without one. And so it's just a really good show to see how his character develops. And eventually he gets what he wants.
To have a quirk and
Yeah.
save people.
Yes.
That's one of his biggest goals in life, is that he wants to help people.
Yeah.
Because there are villains who, misuse their powers, or their quirks. And he just wants to be like All Might, his idol. And All Might always saves people with a smile, no matter how hard the situation is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in that world, it's like a reverse superhero story. Like with Marvel and DC, it's only this select few that have powers. Whereas, in My Hero Academia, almost everyone has powers or quirks.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see it that way.
He's born as like the non-norm, I guess. And
Yeah, it's not normal.
but he gains a lot of character development because he was quirkless. So it's just such a great show to kind of watch. And there is a manga for it. And so right now the series has kind of stopped at season 4. And we're waiting for more to be adapted. But the manga it keeps going. So
yeah, it's still going. So.
Yeah, and right now we have the manga in our collection, so you can definitely check it out and place a hold on it. You might need to place a hold on it because it's so popular.
It is constantly in circulation.
Yeah.
I think even as an ebook.
Yeah.
I think you could check it out on Overdrive. I have to check it out. See that again, but yeah, a lot of the mangas on Overdrive tend to be checked out. So.
Yeah, it's in general it's really popular.
Yes.
So if you are wanting to read this series, I highly recommend to place a hold. And then eventually you'll get your copy. Yeah, it's just such a great show.
Yeah.
I love it. And it took me a while to actually get into this because when I had first seen it, I was like, oh, okay, it's a good anime, but And then I personally didn't really like Midoriya at first because to me he's like kind of this whiny character, and he just in the show he cries a lot, and yeah, I was like, I don't know about this. But then halfway through the first season, I was like, oh, I'm hooked. Like I absolutely loved it. I tried to show everybody that I knew what this show was about. So he grew on me basically.
For me, so it took me a while to get into My Hero Academia. I had a lot of friends tell me, hey, it's a great show, you should watch it, And every time people do that, I'm like, I'll just wait, it's okay.
Yeah.
But eventually I did pick up on it, and I didn't initially fall in love with it until like episode 30. That's when it really hit me, and I was like, wow, this is so good. And the animation is great too. One of my favorite animators, and he's very well known in the anime industry, Yutaka Nakamura. He animated a few scenes from My Hero Academia.
Oh wow.
And if you see like some really good animation going on, it's probably him.
I love me some good animation.
Yeah.
Alright, our next anime that we want to talk about is Demon Slayer. Yes.
It's one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, it's really good. The series creator is Koyoharu Gotoge, and this series was created in 2016, and then the anime came out in 2019, so it's a little bit newer. Basically, the anime is based off of Kanjiro. He is a sweet boy who supports his family by selling charcoal. His nice mountain life is shattered when he returns home to find that his family has been slaughtered, and his little sister Nezuko has been turned into a demon. He becomes a demon slayer to find a way to transform his sister back to human and search for the demon who destroyed his life. So, very heavy at first.
Very heavy, yeah. That's how the manga and the show pretty much started. So the anime series follows the story very well. So when I first watched it, because I watched the anime first and then I read the manga, and the manga has ended last year, 2020. But yeah, I was like, oh, that is such. It's kind of scary in a way.
Yeah. It does have some dark fantasy themes in it.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, the very first episode, it is a little bit like, oh, what is this? Nothing bad, but basically it just progresses from there. And it's just a really good show to kind of like between Tanjiro and Nezuko, which is the sister's relationship. It's awesome. It's really
so
heartfelt.
Cute.
Yes, it's very wholesome. I love it. They're all about family, and so even though his sister is a demon, he's willing to still support her basically, and try to find the person who did this to his family. It's an amazing show. I watched it in sub, so
Same.
in anime, or like in the anime industry, when it comes out, you have two different ways to watch it. I guess you have the dub, which is basically when an English voice actor voices over the show, and then you have subtitles, which is it keeps the Japanese voice acting, and then down below it'll have a subtitle for English or whatever language you want to read it in. And so I saw all of this in sub. I prefer sub because I just like hearing the Japanese voice actors. But there are some amazing dubs. And I don't know if this one, I don't think I watched this one really in dub, so I can't say too much about the voice acting for this one.
I can't either. I will say, going back to Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the first anime that I watched too. So it was on Adult Swim, and that's how I got into it. And yeah, it was all English, and I was like, oh, this is great, because they don't have the Japanese dub on that network. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed that in dub, and as I got older, got more into anime, that's when I switched over to listening to the show in Japanese and just reading the subtitles. Alright, so next up is Inuyasha, and the manga was written by Rumiko Takahashi from 1996 to 2008, and there are two series of Inuyasha. The first one came out in 2000 and ended in 2004, and Inuyasha The Final Act, which continued from the first series, came out in 2009 and ended in 2010. So it was just a short season that basically concluded the entire story. And the story is about a high school girl named Kagome discovers a well that takes her to feudal Japan. She meets Inuyasha, who is half human and half demon. Together with some friends, they search for shards of the Shikon jewel to stop evil demons from using its power. So it's supernatural.
Yeah.
And I watched this a few years ago, kind of at the same time when Full Metal Alchemist came out. So those two, I don't even know which one I started with.
Oh.
So those two are like my first anime that I ever watched.
Okay. I've never actually seen like Inuyasha. I've seen parts of it on TV. So I haven't really I don't know the whole story.
Oh.
I just know that it's somewhat like of a romance anime where Kagome is the main protagonist, but then Inuyasha is one of the other ones, right? And he's the half human, half dog demon.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, Inuyasha was trying to get the Shikon jewel to become a full-fledged demon.
Okay.
And I guess once he meets Kagome and all that, he kind of changes.
Oh.
You know how
character development.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I think that's one of the main draws for me when I watch shoujo manga, which basically just really romantic animes and mangas that are geared towards romance or younger girls. And so one of the main traits is that you see they get together and they're a couple, but then the guy either changes or he becomes like a better person or whoever it is, right? They become a better person, and that's what I just love about those.
And Hakume has a bit of development too.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've only seen just a little bit, but the stuff that I have seen, the episodes, they were pretty good. Now the animation is a little older, I think, right?
Yeah. It's an old.
That's really what I thought. It's almost like if you've ever seen Sailor Moon, because Sailor Moon came out in the 90s, it does have like the 90s animation to it, but Sailor Moon's a whole nother, that's one of my favorites. It's like nostalgic. I love it. I love any magical girl anime manga to begin with, so, but yeah. Inuyasha, a good starter anime to watch. And
we have it through our system at HCPL.
Okay.
So you can check out Inuyasha, and also we have the manga too.
Yes.
That you can check out as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Crunchyroll, it's on Netflix, Hulu, and I just found out today that the Inuyasha movies are on YouTube for free with ads.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to watch the movies, there's an option there.
We do have a curated book bundle that you can check out when this episode airs, and I think I did include some Inuyasha in it, so
cool.
Be sure to check that out. You can always call us at the branch and ask for it.
Yes.
So awesome.
I also want to include that there's a spin-off called Yashahime. It came out last year in 2020, and it's basically about some of the main characters from Inuyasha. They had kids. The kids grew up, and the kids are on an adventure. So
following in the parents' footsteps.
Yeah. So what I kind of love about it is like they're all females, and they're teenagers, and I was like, girl power. So it's kind of cool.
Another strong female show. Awesome. Yeah, I know it just came out, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, I wish I had seen more Inuyasha so I could be more, I guess, like hyped about it when it came out. So I'll put it on my plan to watch list.
Yes.
And then get to it. All right.
Sounds good.
This next one I really do love. It's called Hunter x Hunter, and in many cases you'll see Hunter x Hunter, but I pronounce it Hunter x Hunter. I think it was revealed. The series creator, anyway, is Yoshihiro Togashi, and he had pronounced it in an interview as Hunter x Hunter. So
go with what the author said.
I'm gonna go with what he says. So Hunter x Hunter, basically, it's set in a world where hunters exist to perform all manner of dangerous tasks, like capturing criminals and bravely searching for lost treasures in uncharted territories. A 12-year-old kid named Gon, Freesis, is determined to become the best hunter possible in hopes of finding his father, who was a hunter himself and has long ago abandoned his young son.
Oh my god.
Yeah, their relationship is a whole nother.
Yeah.
However, Gon soon realizes the path to achieving his goals is far more challenging than he could have ever imagined. So, this anime is kind of heavy, but I love it because there's just so many opportunities for you to be optimistic in it. It does have kind of like two series, just like Full Metal Alchemist. The anime did have an adaptation come out in 1999. And so that one's kind of older, and then it had a newer one that's recently come out, which is, I say recently, but it was 2011. About 10 years ago, but it's still just as good. If you were to ask me which one to watch, definitely the 2011, only because it's newer and it's more easily like available to you. I don't know how I could even really get the 1999 one if I wanted to watch it, but I highly recommend this anime. It's one of my favorites. Anytime somebody asks me what my favorite anime is, it's like the top of the list that I list. Only because Gon is such a really good main protagonist and character. Basically, he sets off on an adventure to kind of find his father, but also he just wants to be a hunter. And in this world, there's so many different things that can happen. Like, there are different species that he runs into that are really powerful. he takes this hunter exam to become a hunter, and that whole exam is an arc in itself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really good. He meets friends along the way that just help him throughout to become just a stronger person in general. And then even the side characters have a really good backstory. Just the relationship between Gon and then his best friend, which is Killua, is really nice to see. And I love watching that because it reminds me of like my own friendships that I have in my own life. But basically, the entire show is based off of them and their adventures as they go about becoming hunters and just learning about the world around them. It does have a manga, but the manga is not finished actually.
Oh yeah.
And it has been on a really long hiatus, an extremely long hiatus.
I heard the author is notorious for that.
Yes.
Did he do that with Yu Yu Hakusho?
I don't know if he did that with the same one, because I know Yu Yu Hakusho, we do have, like, I think number 1 and number 2 volumes in the collection, if you want to check it out. But I don't know if he had stopped that one too. I haven't actually read Yu Yu or watched it, so I'm not too sure. But with Hunter x Hunter, he has only recently, I think it was this year, started back up again. So we'll get more Hunter x Hunter content anyway, but there's at least about, I want to say like 3 seasons of the show. And I say like about 3 because they don't really chop it into 24 increments. With like anime, you have seasons, and sometimes there's 12 episode seasons, and sometimes there's 24.
Yeah.
And with this one, I think it was like kind of jumbled or whatever. But anyway, this is still I highly recommend this one, especially since it's not too. It's an anime that I think anybody can really get into and really love, just because the characters are so diverse anyway. So
I haven't watched this at all. It was on my list, my mental anime list to watch, and it's been highly recommended by a lot of people too. So I want to watch that. And I'm currently watching Yu Yu Hakusho, so I'm gonna finish that first.
I need to watch that one. So
yeah.
we'll share off of each other. Yeah, I also think Yu Yu Hakusho is a really good one. I know it's I guess like Hunter x Hunter, I would describe its genre as like a lot adventure, but mostly shonen too, because it involves really powerful characters, and in all of the arcs there's like a really cool fight scene, right? So I love it. It's a really good one to start off with. So
yeah.
We do have a manga and anime monthly pick for you guys. So our monthly pick for manga is this one, and I read this one, so it's Hakume and Mikuchi by Kuto Kashiki. And it's such a good and really cute manga.
It does look so cute.
It's very cute. Basically, it's 2 friends. This is Hakume and that's Mikuchi, and they live in the forest. They are very small. I think they're small people in this story, but because they're so small, their perspective on the world is just vastly different, which I related to. Basically, they just go on many different adventures in the manga. I did see the anime, but I only saw a little bit of it, so reading the manga is kind of getting like flashbacks, but at the same time, there's a lot of stuff that gets left out in animes versus the manga, so
yeah,
it was nice to see. And I really liked the illustrations in the manga here. They're just very detailed.
Yeah.
And it's really good. And it's just really colorful, and I absolutely loved it. We have about 7 volumes in the collection, so you can definitely check it out. Highly recommend this one. Alright, and then we do have an anime pick of the month.
And it's called Jujutsu Kaisen.
It's so good.
Oh, I love that anime. So it came out this year, the anime series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's still ongoing, I believe.
Yes.
So every Friday on Crunchyroll, that's when the show airs.
Okay.
Yeah, and you want to talk about it?
Well, so basically, it is very new, so I won't get too much into it because I don't want to spoil it. But we do also have the manga in our collection. It is circulating, so you can place a hold on it if you want. It's just like with Demon Slayer. or the other manga we mentioned where there's a lot of holds.
Oh, My
It's
Hero
like that.
Academia.
My Hero. It's just like that.
Yeah.
Very popular, so you do want to get your hold in when you can. Basically, it is about the main character, Itadori, who eats a cursed finger, and he gets, like, jumped into the cursed world. So basically, he gets, like, propelled into this cursed society where he has to, basically, you know, he gets powerful, and he fights. How do I explain this show without spoiling it, kind of thing, but it's really good. It has a lot of classic shonen tropes in it, so if you like that genre in general, you'll really like the show.
And they kind of reference, I guess, Western culture too.
Yeah, they do.
Which is kind of, it's cute.
It's like a nice mix too.
Yeah.
Which is awesome to see in this anime. They also have really good OP and EDs, which is like the openings of an anime and the endings of an anime, like the song, the music.
Yes.
They're really good. So honestly, just going along off of those.
Also, the fighting scenes have really good music in the background too.
And the animation is awesome.
It's
like,
beautiful.
I don't remember what studio makes
Mappa.
Mappa. Okay,
Yeah.
They're also a really good studio. Yeah, it's just I love the show. Highly recommend to watch it. It's our monthly pick of the month, so feel free to tell us your thoughts and opinions on it. And then, of course, you can also order Hakume and Mikuchi through our collection. Alright, that was all the starter anime and manga that we have. I'm Marissa.
And I'm Janelle. And we are Anime Jam.
Thank you for joining us. We'll
Thank
see you again next time. Bye.
Bye.